Disney, Zegler pulled a con so bold in London, audiences were screaming refund in 4 languages. Let's just say that thanks to Zegler, a bad publicity stunt, and a few hundred smartphones, the big number she was supposed to sing in Evita is now all over social media.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
But it wasn't sincere because she's had a long history of saying woke, annoying things. Our new Snow White,
Rachel Zegler, is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite direct.
Rachel Zegler just got criticized by big Hollywood people for being the most stuck up, thankless, and clueless actress ever.
The very first actress in history to become box office poison before she ever came box office.
From ruining Snow White to hurting Disney's good name, she's now the perfect example of how being too proud and pushy can destroy a career. They said she was the worst actress in Hollywood ever.
It was a wholesome family film, and now they've turned it into woke trash. Check this out from Wokeness. Disney's Snow White said that harm should befall Trump and his voters. Do not see this film.
Let's start from her sad career story when she was just 17. Rachel Zegler somehow got the main part of Maria in Spielberg's West Side Story in 2020, and hey, good for her. That's an amazing role, and Spielberg is a really famous director. She even won a Golden Globe Award for it, which back then made people think she was going to become a huge star.
Rachel Zegler's career launched when, at 17, she landed the role of Maria in Steven Spielberg's 2021 adaptation of West Side Story.
There were newspaper stories calling her the next big star, casting directors loving her, movie studios getting excited, and Disney thought they hit the jackpot. They spent over $100 million on her for their new Snow White movie, throwing money around like it was fake play money. It wasn't a good idea.
And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution.
By 2025, the girl who was supposed to be Hollywood's darling was no longer walking on red carpets. No, she was hiding from angry people on Twitter, crying during her Evita show, and getting made fun of in internet jokes for singing to empty theater seats.
An iconic song, yes, but it's the balcony grabbing all the attention.
Evita, by the way, got so desperate for people to watch that they started showing her performance on a screen outside. The theater, like some kind of street show, can't fill up the theater. No problem. Put up a TV screen and hope someone walking by to Starbucks will watch. Tickets actually became free online, $0. That's how much people wanted to see her sing about Argentina.
I think there will be people who are disappointed that she hasn't sung it live in the theatre, but I think it's going to be greatly outweighed by the theatricality of using film in that way.
But we can't blame the theater people completely. Disney kind of set her up to fail with her help. Of course, Rachel playing Snow White made people upset from the beginning. The 1937 classic movie had a sweet, quiet princess with pale skin and old-fashioned niceness. What did Disney do? They brought in Rachel, who basically changed Snow White into a bossy girl with an attitude problem and a personal hate for fairy tales.
But she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
no one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
I mean, you don't need to be a huge Disney fan to think that change was weird. Families who grew up watching the original just wanted to feel nostalgic. What they got instead was a political, modern version of a classic that felt more like a boring speech about girl power than a magical story.
Here's actually Rachel Zegler, who is the new Snow White, and she's talking about Snow White being woke.
Can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age. And there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all. And for Snow White, it's coming to terms with finding herself and finding her inner voice and finding a sense of agency so that she can be a just ruler.
And Rachel didn't help herself at all. She said the prince in the original movie was a creepy stalker, said the love story was weird, and then had the nerve to say that Snow White's name wasn't even about her skin color anymore. No, it's because she survived a snowstorm. Who agreed to that story change? The same people who thought turning the 7 dwarfs into glowing computer cartoon blobs was a good idea. Yeah, let's not even talk about that yet.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. Progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Back to Zegler. Critics and audiences got mad at her, and they were right to, for openly making fun of the character she was paid to play. Imagine getting paid millions to play Snow White, and then going on TV shows telling the world how stupid Snow White is. That's like someone paying Ryan Reynolds to play Deadpool and him saying, "Honestly, I hate superheroes, and this costume smells like garlic." Oh, wait, Ryan might actually say that. But at least he's funny when he makes fun of himself. Rachel, not so much.
That at every premiere, everything I do, people will wait in line.
You heard that right. Zegler not only believes that she's a priceless work of art, she thinks she's sacred, and she doesn't just shout that into the mirror.
Fans weren't okay with it either. The hashtag #NotMySnowWhite became popular faster than her movie ticket sales crashed. The internet all decided together. They were done watching celebrities ruin beloved classics just to prove how modern and cool they are.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion.
People don't want their childhood memories rewritten by someone who treats every interview like an angry poem about how terrible the past was. And Rachel seemed determined to make sure nobody forgot just how much she hated the original movie, the character, the prince, and the romance. Honestly, I'm surprised she didn't trash the apple too.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks. Weird. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
But wait, it gets worse. This girl managed to make everybody mad at her, like completely mad. You'd think a news star would know how to handle being famous. Smile, wave, thank your fans, repeat. But not Rachel. One fan sang a line from West Side Story to her while she was at Chili's restaurant. And instead of saying thank you or even pretending to smile, she told Jimmy Kimmel the guy ruined her night. Who says that? Thanks for being excited to see me. Random person. Now my dinner is ruined. Seriously.
Anyway, in one clip, she calls the Sharks, the rival gang of the Jets in this new version of West Side Story, a rainbow of the Latino community, and then struggles to name what constitutes Latino diversity.
And it didn't stop there. At Disneyland during the Snow White ride, you know? The one that's based on the movie she's starring in. She said she has to pretend to love people when fans stop her for pictures. Pretend. She openly admitted she has to fake being nice to the people who keep her career going. If that doesn't scream ungrateful, I don't know what does.
Hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
Babe, what business do you need?
Let's talk numbers, because this wasn't just embarrassing, it was a money disaster. Disney spent over $100 million making this Snow White remake. On top of that, they spent over $100 million more on advertising. That's more money than some small countries have. What did they get back? An opening weekend in the US that only made $43 million, and it only got worse. By week 2, the movie lost 66% of its sales. That's not just a small drop. That's like the Titanic sinking, lifeboats screaming, the whole thing.
For a very long time, it seems that nobody has quite captured the public's disdain like our girl, Rachel Zegler. The damage had been done.
Movie theaters started quietly removing the movie from good time slots, moving it to weird afternoon showings, or taking it out completely. In China, where Disney usually makes tons of money, this movie made less than $1 million. Less than $1 million. That's basically just popcorn money. Final count, around $150 million in total losses. That's the kind of failure that makes business people quotientize their life choices. Like someone at Disney probably quit early just to avoid answering emails about this mess.
She recently told that to a reporter and her psychiatrist that every inch of her body is built inside and out to be worshipped. My compassion has no boundaries.
Rachel Zegler didn't just star in a failed Disney movie, she turned a beloved fairy tale into a perfect example of how to make an entire audience hate you. From making fun of the original story to pushing aside her co-stars, replacing real little-person actors with computer cartoon nonsense, and using every TV interview as a stage for political speeches. She managed to upset both old-school fans and modern critics alike. What was once a timeless story about love and kindness became an empty, joyless bossy girl remake that no one asked for. Her behavior off camera only made things worse, treating fans badly, making fun of the story's history, and even mocking people who still believed in its original magic. The result, a $250 million disaster that failed not once, but twice at the box office, caused public boycotts, and left Disney scrambling. This wasn't just a failed movie, it was a complete branding catastrophe, and the message from audiences was loud and clear: they're done. If you're tired of watching Hollywood destroy classics in the name of shallow messaging, it's time to speak up, stay sharp, and stop supporting this kind of content.